it feels like the closed season comes upon us faster and faster every year. And whilst some parks may claim they are open, most of them this time of year are sadly shut. So this is UK theme parks, and there's one big question we want to ask today, one big question that we ask ourselves every single year, and that is quite simple. How close are we to all year round opening? Now I know what you might be thinking, there are a few objections here, there are a few yeses, a few no's, and a few we definitely can't do it. So let's have a look first at the reasons it would work. Let's have a look. How would it work? Well, we're going to go through a few points, with the first point starting right here. Christmas events have been popular as ever. Chesington and Legoland heaving, really busy, and not just for annual pass holders, of course these have held a cost to them. The Christmas events have been very popular for the parks that have run them. All year round opening will potentially save on training, because obviously they're all year round positioning, and you know, the less training the parks have to do in the new year would surely save some money and offset some of the people they kept all year running. There's possibly new visitors as well. Let's not forget Winter Wonderland, which runs over the Christmas event, is one of the most popular events of the year, arguably, and there's new visitors coming to London to go there, and they would expand to the theme parks as well. Then of course there's potential new passes and ticket options, something we will look at a little bit later. I think it's probably fair to say that they would need to charge for some winter openings, but again, you know, these are the thoughts we want to hear from you. Now of course there are some excuses, as we're going to call them, as to why parks don't open, and there are going to be some genuine reasons as well. So what we want to look at first is reasons it may not work. And why we say may not work is because there are parks around the world, there are parks even in the UK that make this work very well. And I think even after riding Vampire during the Christmas event, you know, it's quite clear that we could have roller coasters open during the closed season if the parks really put their mind to it. So the first one is the weather. The weather is a major factor, arguably, in the reasons why theme parks don't open during the winter. However, you know, we are now mid-January, we've just had one storm, we've had nothing else that would stop the rides opening. A couple of cold days, but nothing that we don't experience during the, you know, on-peak season. And saying that, an on-peak season, it tends to snow when the parks are open anyway. So weather, I'm not calculating it as an excuse, I'm afraid. People still come out. Now, visitor numbers. I don't think it's feasible, for instance, to have the parks open, you know, 24/7. I just don't think that would be feasible. But certainly weekend openings, you know, broadens the horizons for people to come to the park. It limits the spot time that people can visit, and it would naturally bring numbers in. And of course, during the week, maintenance can be done on certain attractions. I think it'd be fair to say that not all the attractions could open all the time. And then we look at as well, a real sort of key one here is the maintenance. Now then, I think maintenance we look at as the fact that parks say they can't do this, they can't do that. Now, Portland's Park in the UK are probably the best at a maintenance schedule. They open, you know, their major roller coasters pretty much throughout the year at different times. Some of them stay closed for longer, some of them stay closed for shorter. Parks abroad can, you know, we look at Busch Gardens, they can kind of get SheiKra done in 2 weeks. You know, Cheetah Hunt can be maintained in 2 weeks. And of course it is about the manpower, and of course it is about, you know, the need to do so. But over here we just don't seem to push the need to do so. Flat rides should be maintained 3 or 4 days. You know, Disney again are really good at this. I'm not comparing our parks to Disney, but maintenance isn't an excuse. If you stagger the maintenance, then arguably during closed season, everyone's not trying to do the same thing. I think, you know, if the parks could open a little bit, I think people would be happy, to be honest with you. Now, of course, again, on top of that, you know, we wanted to hear your comments on this. We really do want to hear your comments on this. There are reasons I don't think that it would work, and there are some areas in which it would definitely not work. And I think these are kind of ones that, you know, potentially you can't get around either. The first one, and the major one for me, is actually location. You know, I think when you talk about Legoland and Chesington and even Thorpe Park, they are in prime key areas. You could possibly include Drayton Manor in that as well. These are real key areas in which it's easy to get to, quick location, and of course they have the, you know, facilities to do it. They have the facilities to do it. Parks that are out of the way, you know, I don't think they can do it. I think even Alton Towers would struggle for a full park opening or near park opening. And that leads us on to the infrastructure and finances. finances, obviously you'd have to be brave as a smaller park, somewhere like Oakwood, to be opening during this time. And when we say obviously infrastructure as well, it's kind of how set up they are with the seasonal workers and how set up they are with the maintenance schedules. In order to get this done, infrastructure also includes hotels. You know, we say Drayton Manor, they've got a hotel, people can stay for the weekend, they would naturally go into the park. Again, other places might struggle with this quite severely. And then they've got to justify the price. And again, this is a real big one for me. You know, we pay for annual passes now. You know, is it right that our annual pass price that we currently use for 6-7 months would actually work for the whole season? And I don't think it would. I think the problem the parks have is they would have to increase annual pass prices quite significantly to justify a closed season. And you know, is that a problem? I don't know. We want to hear your comments on this. I think there's quite a few excuses that can definitely be eliminated on the opening all year round. Not full opening, don't get me wrong, not full opening, but a better maintenance schedule, something, as we said, Portsmouth Park are really good at doing. So we want to hear your comments below. What do you think? The events are getting better. The ride openings over Christmas, Chesington, Legoland are getting better. You know, other parks are starting to follow suit now, so there is definitely a demand for it. We want to hear it. Thanks for joining us today. Leave your comments below.